Do the trashy pulp novels of the world have anything to offer? Are bestsellers all they're cracked up to be? Here at Terrible Book Club, we explore whether you really can judge a book by its cover, or its ridiculous synopsis. You ever passed a book and thought, ugh, who's reading this? We probably are.
Welcome to episode 47 of the Terrible Book Club. This time we read Growing Around, Party Panic by John Enter Rozanski, illustrated by Megan Maloney. I'm Paris, and this is Chris.
Hi, Paris.
If this is your first time tuning into the Terrible Book Club, what we do here is we read books that we assume will be bad based on their cover, title, summary, or some combination thereof. So we're forcing ourselves to read books that we would never otherwise choose to read. Usually this experiment results in a hilariously disappointing read, although once in a great while a book comes through that at least partially subverts our assumptions. So how was your vacation in this horrible child hellscape?
I'm very stressed after I read this book early. This is the number 3 of our 3-episode marathon recording session we're doing. And I read this before you showed up, and it was one of the most stressful reading experiences of my entire life. I have so many pent-up emotions and anxieties to get out about this book.
Yeah, me too.
First of all, where's the fucking illustrations?
I'm confused. So my only explanation is it says it was illustrated by a woman named Megan Maloney. And there's, of course, a cover illustration. But there's no art inside the book, but this is the Kindle version, so maybe it's only in the print version?
Wouldn't it still be in the layout? So when you sent it to print, it's not like you had 2 different files, and why not include illustrations in the Kindle? It's not like...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's just my guess, because...
Sure.
I don't...
You know what? Not really a big issue with this book in terms of things we have to get to.
All right, I just have two housekeeping items before we continue. One, thank you to Letty for recommending this. Thank you very much for emailing this recommendation to us. Normally, we don't get to a recommendation so quickly, but... we were actually looking for a children's book to read because the last one we did was Melanie's Marvelous Measles, a book
with more lessons than this one to learn.
Yeah, Melanie's Marvelous Measles was a book for anti-vaxxers to help indoctrinate their children to also not believe in vaccinations, and that was a different sort of very real, horrifying hellscape. This is a very fantastical kind of version of a horrifying hellscape.
Yeah. We should talk about the author. Is that the second housekeeping thing? Or?
Well, no. The second thing is just I don't really have a list of content warnings, but the only thing I can really think of is if you have like a strained parent-child relationship in your life, that might be a thing that comes up.
Also, maybe if you dislike clutter and messes.
Oh yeah. If you don't like a bunch of gross food messes, this is not the book or the episode for you.
If you don't like stickiness,
yeah,
I don't know if we're
conversely, if you have whatever that fetish is where you mix food and sex, you'll probably get off to this book or this episode because that's a thing. All right, so there's really no sex and violence this time. This is a change of pace.
There's some emotional violence, I could say.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, there's like a tinge of physical violence. Anyway, this book is a book written for children, as I said. So the author is John Enter Rozanski, or Rozanski, I don't know.
Enter is a nickname in quotes, just, to be clear.
I mean, it is listed in his author name, which is why I said it, but
I don't know how you get that nickname.
Yeah.
Does he just put himself in places where he doesn't belong, like
just likes going through doors, just really loves it. Hits the enter key all the time. I don't know. So sort of similar to when we read Maradonia, I didn't want to get too far down the rabbit hole. I mean, Maradonia was a little different because that was a child author who still kind of fed into her own crazy mythos as an adult and was still peddling the same stuff. But I don't really know much about Mr. Rozanski. I did some really shallow Googling, and all I could really find is that he is a guy who came to some very minor internet fame by reviewing and commenting on like My Little Pony cartoons. Then he did some other cartoons, I think maybe Family Guy. I don't know. He's really into cartoons. It's his thing. He has some channels on YouTube where he just reviews cartoons, and I mean, it seems like it's a thing people do.
Sure, I like a lot of like critical review YouTube channels. Is one of the reasons I started up this podcast. In fact,
although cartoons is maybe a little less common. I don't know. I'm not really part of that circle, so I don't know.
Maybe in like anime circles is more common. I don't know about like Western style. I'm sure there's plenty of brony opinion videos out there.
Yeah, so it seems like maybe that's how he got to start, but then he started branching out into other things, and it seems like he's kind of a controversial figure. Now, again, I'm not a person who really runs in the cesspools of the internet, so I don't really know much about this.
I don't know about this one either, and I've played in the filth pools a little bit myself.
That's true. You usually know more about me than
usually you'll say like, who is this guy? I'd be like, it's this.
Yeah. But I mean, what I could see about this guy is he's really passionate about animation and cartoons, and I mean, on a surface level, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm not gonna
totally fine
trash this guy for his interests.
I still watch episodes of Power Rangers, man. Can't throw stones.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not into cartooning at that level. I'm not into animation, so like, I don't get it. I'm a little estranged from, this kind of group. But, he has a Patreon. He makes like, I don't know, $600 and some a month. Cool. So he's got plenty of other people who support what he does. I mean, he started an Indiegogo campaign, which is like a Kickstarter, to fund the first episode of Growing Around. He wanted to make like a pilot episode, probably to like float to networks, I assume, because he's really passionate about making Growing Around not only like a book series, but he mostly wants to make a cartoon show, like a serialized show. And he was asking something crazy, like $350,000 or something. I mean, I might be wrong. I like I said, I did a very shallow Googling and reading about this man. He only reached like $10,000 of his goal. Because I mean that's like a lot of money to ask for a pilot episode. I mean, it seems like he's already working with other people to create this stuff. So I don't really know why you would need that much money unless you were planning on maybe hiring out an ad agency or something. It seems like kind of an absurd amount.
A lot more animators to like make stuff quicker, or like higher quality animators or something, like to attract like serious talent or something.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not really sure what his plans were. It seems like he's pretty active on DeviantArt. We're actually going to read a little bit about something he posted from there because it relates to this book. And again, we're going to try to keep our criticisms and our discussion just on the book that he wrote, largely because I'm not going to waste hours of my time digging into weird internet criticisms about some guy who reviews cartoons. Like, I don't know.
We're talking about a specific piece of work here.
We're talking about his book.
As a book.
Yeah, as a book
because maybe
for
this
children.
was intended to be in a cartoon world, which, if that was the case, it definitely doesn't work here. Because some things that might come off as he would assume as silly are just straight up sinister.
Oh yeah,
and like anxiety inducing.
Hang on, I'm just gonna read I'm just gonna find the summary before we get much further here.
It's a pretty. I mean, you could sell the conceit in a sentence essentially, but then immediately as soon as I say the sentence, everyone will have a million questions.
Yeah. So sorry, we have a Kindle version. I don't have a physical copy, so I'm just struggling to pull up the
Well, here's the 2-second elevator pitch here.
No, I can get it, but
okay.
You can hang on. Hang around. I mean, I don't even even the title is like kind of strange.
I don't get the title.
Growing Around. I guess is it supposed to be like going around but growing around? I don't get it. A little weird. Also, a physical copy of this book is fucking $12. Get fucked.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm angry.
It's expensive. It's not like a picture book.
Yeah, it's actually, why don't you talk about? It says it's illustrated by this woman Megan Maloney, but there's only the cover. I don't get it.
There's only the cover. I guess that's what she meant, and like it's It's like 164 pages in the Kindle version. It's not like it's a heavy read or anything. I read it in about an hour and a half really quickly. It's like a book, like a chapter book.
Yeah.
So it's, they're...
But certainly, I mean, R.L. Stine is putting out longer chapter books for kids, and they're less money than this.
Yes.
So, I mean, I had to pay $5 for a Kindle version, and I was annoyed about that. Anyway, this is the summary of Growing Around Party Panic. Sally Dunn is your typical 8-year-old in a not-so-typical world, one where kids rule and adults get schooled. It's fun to be in charge, but it's never easy. When Sally goes shopping, she needs to buy the right toys to make her whole family happy, and her parents never seem to like her choices. When Sally goes driving, she needs to try her best to not bump the other kids too hard. And she makes sure she respects everyone else's choice of pets, whether they be a tiny little dog or a huge elephant. All of this becomes more difficult when Sally gets a party duty letter and is forced to entertain the entire town. Even with her friends by her side, it's going to be difficult when the mayor seems to have it out for her in this enticing adventure where the people are growing around. I don't really understand that last sentence.
All right, Pat. So immediately you've got the pitch here is that kids are in control of the world while adults are the ones that are subordinate to them, I suppose, or have to listen to them.
Yeah, actually, I can, I know you're really raring to go, but I just really need to set the scene here.
Okay, fine. I'll quell my fires.
So from Mr. Rozanski's DeviantArt, where he if you don't know what DeviantArt is, it's like, I don't know, a hub where you can post your artwork or like stories and people can comment on them and you can share your stuff. And it's been around for a while. It seems to cater to a lot of people that are into like anime and like furry stuff, but I think more other types of art have been on there. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just not, like I said, I'm kind of estranged from this sort of stuff. All right. So in 2015, he posted Growing Around General Guidelines. He just wanted to like answer some people's questions about the world and how it's supposed to work. So he provided some guidelines here. Guideline 1, kids and adults have switched roles. Children are entrusted with the social responsibilities of this world. Guideline 2, baby, and then there's a right-facing arrow, child, arrow, teenager, arrow, adult, arrow, elder. I mean, that just normal progression of aging. I don't know why that's necessary to point out. Guideline 3, kids go to work, adults go to school. Guideline 4, schools teach how to have fun and be creative. They are highly focused on creativity and continually going beyond previously established techniques and patterns that people fall into over time. Okay. Guideline 5, adults who choose to have children live and raise their first child in a nursery until they have enough self-awareness and independence to step out into the kid world and head on up the career path. Guideline 6, adults mature normally. Just like how children view adults in the real world, this show assumes that maturity is naturally formed with age and not due to the surrounding environment. That one's real important, guys. Pay attention. Keep this one in
your head. Keep that one in your brain.
Guideline 6, keep it in there. All right. Guideline 7. In this world, health is not an issue. Kids eat what they like and do not have to deal with the real world consequences. # cartoon logic. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
it's not supposed to be...
Yeah. So guideline 8, although fun and creativity are valued in this world, maturity has practical applications in the workforce. The more mature you are, the more likely you are to do a good job, and therefore these children tend to get more authorial roles. I think he meant authoritarian roles. Guideline 9, elderly have the maturity of adults, but thanks to their schooling, have the creativity and fun to make the most of their retirement, and most of them explore inventive endeavors. Guideline 10, most children don't really understand the concept of teenager, as this world is so divided in child and adult. Teenager is the awkward transition period between being a child and an adult. Some continue working right up to retirement and try to hold on to their childhood, while others embrace their adulthood wholeheartedly. And finally, guideline 11, the show is this kid-run society from the ground up, not kids running our society. So I think that what I get from these guidelines is that he's trying to say we shouldn't think about this world that he's created as our current world with a role reversal. It's more like a totally other dimension reality. It's not. Yeah, where children from the beginning
have been able to decide things or like run things or like orient things to be around them. However, the parts where they value maturity,
that really throws a loop.
Through experiences, which you gain through being alive
And
for a certain
age.
period of time.
Right.
Therefore, experience makes you more valuable to society because...
Yeah, I that really throws a
So
loop
why
into this
are
whole
the
thing.
adults like I guess the point he's trying to make is that with the schools being like exercising creativity, it's like, oh, as you become an adult, you lose your imagination and you get all jaded and stuff. And sure, there could be a point to be made there, but
I
just
get
everything. Look, man, you get better at things through experience doing them, and children do not have enough experience fucking walking around to get from place to place or even understand a lot of stuff. He's putting like 4-year-olds behind the driver's wheel.
Yeah, you get your license at 4 in this world.
Dude, I know 4-year-olds that barely know what's happening in the room.
Yeah, like I mean, my only guess is that like he made that point where health isn't an issue. Because in this book, the children, all they want to do is eat candy. There's like chocolate syrup on everything. Everything has like copious amounts of...
Everything is covered in chocolate syrup.
Yep,
to the
candy.
Point. I've like, she mentioned, Sally, the main character, mentions cleaning up messes sometimes, but it doesn't seem like she values a clean house because she like is irked by her parents' neat belongings.
Yeah. The kids love chaos. This book is just a chaotic, fucking hate-fueled nightmare that most parents must have when they're about to have their first child.
Everything is sticky all the time because there's chocolate sauce all over everything, everywhere. There's chocolate fountains like in every possible place there could be a chocolate fountain.
Yeah,
everything. They're just slathering it all over everything, not even bothering to clean it up. They're not neat about eating it.
Yeah, I really think so. For me, it's like to read this book and try to get any enjoyment out of it, it's just impossible. But then, all right, so this book is for children, which is further troubling. There are some word choices here that I just don't think kids would understand. Like the author uses the word blouse to refer to shirts, and like a kid wouldn't know what the fuck a blouse is. And like that's not a term they would use because in the book, the blouse isn't used like in a descriptive, in like a third person omniscient sentence. It's used like in the dialogue between characters. Yep. Kids are like 8 years old, and I don't think they would say blouse. I also don't think they would say like, the shirt of her dress, like the top of the dress. Yeah. Furthermore, this book didn't seem to be very closely edited. I did read that he did apparently hire an editor, but they did a shit job. Sorry, John. Like, you got to hire someone else next time. There's a lot of misspellings, typos, a lot of like homophone problems again, like in the last book, or
here
not the last
we
book.
Are happens.
Yeah,
H-E-R-E.
Yeah, like that's a good example. Instead of
like it was like, can you hear us? It was a confusion between here and here that I forgot.
Yeah, it was a confusion between H-E-R-E as in a place that you exist, and H-E-A-R as in the ability to perceive a sound through auditory means. So there's a lot of that.
Phone clarifications with terrible book club.
Yes, there's a lot of that going on. Just lazy punctuation problems, and I mean the writing isn't great, but it's with kids' books it's kind of hard, right? Because you want it to be understandable to children. You don't want to get into this like highfalutin, like 8 commas in a sentence. We don't want to be reading fucking Hegel, or like we don't want to be reading Heidegger, like being in time. Like we don't need to get that fancy, but you still want it to, I don't know, have a little zazz.
The narrative style is childish for sure.
Yeah. And
Sally is an 8-year-old girl, and she values toys and candy and sweets and having fun, kind of. Yeah.
And I think so it's kind of hard to judge in some ways, because I'm like, okay, the author was trying to ostensibly get inside the mind of an 8-year-old child living in a world where they were in control. So it should be childish, right? But my issue is that I feel like this book had no point.
Yeah.
And there were no lessons learned. And honestly, I mean, as an adult reading this is a horrifying dystopia full of chocolate and ponies. And I know that sounds insane, but it is.
Once again, there's chocolate sauce all over everything at all times, which might sound cool at first, but then just think about how sticky everything gets. The ant issue alone would just like overtake everyone at some point.
Yeah,
I mean, maximum substance, because apparently sugar is healthy in this world.
Yeah, like I was thinking, okay, none of these kids are going to even live to adulthood with these diets, but he's like, oh, well, sugar was made healthy, so it's not it's a fantasy world.
Kids are driving down the street on the animal path for like their kangaroos that they're taking to work.
They have kangaroos, ponies.
And they're talking about like, it might be comfy in that kangaroo pouch to get to work.
No, it'd be gooey as fuck.
It's a mucus sack.
Asshole. Yeah.
Idiots.
Yeah, it's not comfy.
And I don't think that's even like, the kids didn't know that because they're kids. I think it's just this man didn't
Yeah,
understand.
I mean, and in this book, it's not like the kids have jobs that kids would have. Like,
what is Sally's job?
I don't know. We never find out. We never find out what her job is.
There's some like officers of the court, and there's like a traffic guard that gives like a ticket or something.
Yeah, there are like astronauts. Like,
there's
kids are
a manager at a grocery store and a cashier to accept your Pokemon card payments.
Yeah, their currency is Pokemon cards.
It's not called Pokemon cards. It's called like
Snatchamon.
They had two different names. Okay, so they had two different names in the space of like 10 pages.
That's true. They did have two different names for the currency. It was either Snatchamon or like Gayamon or Gaiamon or
yeah, something like that.
No, seriously, it was like
it was
something. So I don't know, and like
does that mean there's a Pokemon card bank?
Yeah, there must be, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Because they talk about bank robberies.
Yeah. So my question is like more about violence because we never see any violence in this world. I think she mentions a car accident, but no like
a car accident,
outright violence, which is interesting because I feel like kids are
it's a
fucking
cartoon
terrors.
world, so we don't have to worry about like there's some aspects of this like if this was a cartoon show.
And that's what it is, right? You have to keep that in mind. Like he's creating a cartoon world.
But even then,
even then,
everything is too. The number one thing, aside from like the fact that there's a mess everywhere all the time, and while like kids, they're supposed to respect certain rules because there's kid cops, and there's a mayor that's very demanding that you follow certain rules.
Yep.
They also value messiness and chaos as kind of an indicator of creativity and like not following the guidelines of previous things.
Yeah, so I don't understand how you can have those two coexisting.
At the same time, if you value maturity through experience, why are adults treated like essentially slaves to the whim of children?
Oh my god.
Because let me tell you,
this is why
one character in this book that I was just rooting for the whole time, that she would just turn on everything, is Linda, who is Sally's mother, gave birth to this child, pushed her out of herself, and 8 years later she's demanding you go to school in this clown outfit because you failed your stargazing constellation making up assignment.
And also punishing you because you were trying to eat a jar of carrots. How dare you?
And because your room is neat.
Dude, the whole time I just wanted to like open this book and hand Linda a submachine gun and be like, good luck.
Have her just I'm sorry, like
I
don't want to say the words.
I wanted this book to end like Carrie ended. Let's just say that. Like
also,
that's how I wanted
there's
it
another
to end.
thing here. There's plenty of adults or whatever. Why would they keep taking this? They're all physically stronger.
Yeah,
there should be a revolution happening in this book.
There should
be. The flag should be a raised hand to a child.
Like a belt held up in the air. Okay, we're not advocating corporal punishment. It's a joke.
Life, but
it's a joke.
in this world.
Yeah, in this world.
These children need to be put in line. I am sorry. I cannot live in a world with kangaroos and elephants going down the streets. And I don't think they even have traffic laws. They're just kind of doing whatever all the time.
Dude, no, they do have traffic laws because they have traffic cops. But anyway, this little girl, Sally Dunn, she is this vindictive monster of a child. I'm just going to read about...
Petty and vengeful.
Hang on. So...
I don't see how she's mature in the fucking league.
So she finds out that... She finds out that she's supposed to have a child-parent meeting at the school because Linda isn't doing well. So Linda is her mom, but in this world, it's kind of like Linda's the child, right? Because she's going to school. So imagine if you, like maybe you have a child listener, I don't know. If you do, put yourself, in this situation. But me, I don't have a child, but even imagining myself in this situation, like, wow. She finds out, she has to have this child-parent meeting, which usually means that Linda isn't doing well in some respect. And Linda has kind of had a frequent problem of like not having enough creativity or imagination in school.
She's just not doing assignments because she can't figure out how to make
be
up names
child
for
enough.
constellations or draw a picture good.
Oh, she's not good enough at paintball, like things like that.
Yeah.
Like Sally is thinking about this, and she's in the kitchen, and she's thinking about how she's going to handle this. So I'm just going to read this selection. I browsed around the room for jars of peanut butter and buckets of chocolate syrup. What could I make Linda do? I peered around the refrigerator. The old ice down the back of the shirt? Nah, this time she needed something special. The fuzzy zebra head on the wall looked down at me. Maybe I'd dress her up as one and force her to wear it all week. There was the floor trampoline. Perhaps I'd make Linda start using the spiral slide that led it on the way down and force her to spend the day with any crazy hairstyle that came out of it. No, that wouldn't work either. Giving her hair purple highlights was the only fun thing that she ever did, and I didn't want to ruin that. What did I want Linda to do? I sauntered over to the grown-ups chore list. 2 long sheets of paper hung down. There were already a few things written in fresh blue crayon on Linda's list. Play baseball with Timmy. Race toy cars with Timmy. Test Timmy's newest lemonade masterpiece. Make popcorn for the Ratman Marathon. Watch the Ratman Marathon with Timmy. That wasn't nearly enough. I grabbed my green crayon and got to thinking. I wanted to have her tea party tonight, but if I made Linda go, she probably wouldn't even dress all fancy. That was going to be a Robert chore for this evening. He was involved in this too, so I wrote that down, right below play baseball with Timmy. Maybe I'd have her join me, Robert, and Timmy on a kitchen camping trip. She'd be the one to set up the blanket tents while the rest of us roasted marshmallows on the stove. Then again, she'd complain about how much she needed her sleep, and it would ruin it for everyone else. And after the movie, tonight was a playing astronaut kind of night. I already had goosebumps imagining Robert spinning me around above his head under the stars. This went on until Robert's list was twice as long as Linda's. She was just so boring to play with. So, like, she spends all this time thinking about how she's gonna torture her fucking mom, and, like, how great her dad, Rob is her dad, she calls him Robbie. And she spends, like, all this time just, like, just being this, like, cruel dictator.
Planning ways to make Linda do, like, embarrassing, humiliating
and
shit
feel like
that
shit.
she understands is embarrassing and humiliating to her. It's not like she doesn't understand, I'm just trying to help you get out of here. Sally 100% understands that Linda is embarrassed by all this.
Yeah, I mean,
and Linda just spends the whole book being just fucking emotionally battered by all of the punishments that...
Yeah, like, Linda is physically and emotionally afraid of her daughter Sally. Like, Sally catches her in the kitchen trying to eat carrots or whatever, and Linda hides them and has to lie about it because she's so afraid of the punishment she's going to receive. I mean, that is some dystopian fuck. This is an episode of Black Mirror. Like, let's be serious here. This isn't like
a funny, fun time kid show.
No.
This is a fucking anxiety-inducing, like, torture scene.
Yeah, and, like, it made me feel anxious. I was like, oh, fuck, is she gonna, like, hurt Linda? Like, I was like, oh my god, don't hurt Linda, please.
I did not know how far Sally was willing to go.
It seemed like she was willing to go pretty fucking far, dude. Like, some of those thoughts she was having, I was like, oh no.
And, like, Robbie kind of gets, like, less of the brunt because he's trying to, like, always, like, play the peacemaker, much like a second child in an abusive parental relationship might act towards the one that's, you know, the less hated one, you can say.
Yeah, and she gets married. Sorry. I meant to say angry. She gets angry at Robbie, too, because, like, Robbie didn't tell her that the teacher wanted to see Linda with the kids after school or whatever, like, to have the child parent meeting.
The teacher's a child, too, by the way.
Yeah, of course. But, like, she's like, you know, Robbie's like, well, Linda is my wife. And Sally's like, yes. And it's just, I don't know, man. They have a really abusive dynamic. And I feel like a child reading this, I feel like it would actually encourage them to be cruel to their parents or to anything they had charge of.
Being like, oh, you're too stuffy. You don't know how to be imaginative. There's like scenes with like Linda like crying out a window because I can't imagine anything. It's like probably because you're like sleep deprived, have been abused, living off a diet of sugar. I don't care how healthy it is if you're only eating like one kind of thing all the time.
Well, yeah, and also like if sugar is so healthy, like why is Linda desperately trying to eat a jar of carrots? Like also, a jar of carrots is a strange concept, but there is a glass jar of carrots. Perhaps they are pickled. I don't know. But like, yeah, like why is she trying so hard to eat some fucking carrots if sugar is healthy and good for you? Like, wouldn't it not really matter?
Why are you upset that she has like papers neatly stacked in order so you can fucking find where they are later? Because that's how you're supposed to store things so that you're not just willy-nilly everywhere so you can get some work done. Because there's like a city hall and shit, right? There's files in this city hall
that the children must be in charge of.
Record keeping, right? Are they just strewn about? How does anything work if you can't find any records for anything because they're just covered in fucking chocolate sauce and kangaroo pouch mucus, because that's how you fucking transport. You don't have a briefcase, right?
Yep.
Because who's had
covered in pony shit.
The 4-year-old manager of the city hall forgot. I hate it.
Chris is physically breaking down and curling into a ball in his chair. I know you can't see it right now, but that's what's happening. Yeah. Even I understand.
They make fun of her for liking math. How do you have buildings? There's astronauts in this world, Paris. How did you figure out to fucking send a rocket to the moon if math is... How is there a math book?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do... Okay.
Then there would be an adult that came up with the math, right? That would be their job, correct?
No, adults don't have jobs. Which is another confusing thing, because at one point in the book, Sally sees that her, Linda, her mom, has gotten like D's and F's and Z's on assignments, and she's like, oh, what is Linda gonna do when she graduates from school? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. They don't need to have jobs. Why do you even care how she's doing at school? I don't get it. If there's if they don't have to go to a job, then it doesn't fucking matter how they do. And also,
how long does school last?
I don't know. You don't know. You never find out.
We're trying to have a society here, Paris.
No. Well, yeah, we're trying to have a society, but I don't know. I really think, though, that I understand what Mr. Rozanski was trying to do here. But it just really needs more thought.
That sounds good for 2 seconds until you have all these questions about, wait, but then how does this work?
Yeah.
How did this get,
Yeah, and I just think saying, it's a cartoon world doesn't really excuse everything. And I also think that's just lazy as fuck. Sorry, dude, but, you just gotta put a little more thought into
a couple
this.
extra steps, so we make the adults come up with all the boring math stuff because, by the time you're older, you need your imagination to help you come up with these cool new ideas. So if we don't foster that, maybe in this alternate dimension, adults just default to being fuddy-duddies and you need the kid stuff there.
Yeah.
But at the same time... the adults aren't valued at all for anything. They're just... Yeah,
they're really not.
I don't even think you see more adults besides Sally's parents or anything.
No, yeah, I mean, I guess it's, and again, as an adult reading this book, we're not the intended audience, right? But I even think of a child reading this, and I wonder if Rozanski has, had enough experience, around children? Because I don't even know that children would necessarily act or speak in this way in the book.
A lot,
I mean, some of it,
I said before,
maybe...
we mentioned, 4-year-olds getting a driver's license.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. There's the motor... There's plenty of them. They can walk around and stuff, and they're speaking and everything.
But yeah, you're right. Their fine motor skills aren't there.
The fine motor skills are not there. I teach children guitar for a living. I'm very intimately aware with how the fine motor skills take time to develop.
Yeah.
I know maybe driving a car isn't as, fine with the fingers or anything like that, but just reaction times and understanding fucking shapes of signs, maybe.
Yeah, I almost feel like Rozanski would have been better off if he made the characters in this world aliens. Or like some fantasy race, because trying to imagine them as humans is just, it's too far for me. Like we're saying, we have all these questions because it just doesn't follow any rhyme or reason. And I think maybe if he really wants to kind of go that extra mile and be like, okay, this is a totally different dimension, different existence, different reality, then he should just make the characters something else that isn't human. Just come up with a different
Also, I gotta ask, I
mean, not that life or time exists differently for any other organism, but shrug.
Yeah, once again, the fact that the factual idea of linear causality and experience giving you more ability to do things being the central kind of issue I have with this whole idea here. And the other thing is okay, so are the doctors kids too?
Mm-hmm.
So they're delivering kids having 3 years of training before they can even speak. You put a kid in front of this poor woman giving birth to another child.
Honestly, one of my main issues with this book is mortality. The level of mortality in this world must be astronomical. People must be dying constantly. And why would an adult even want to have a child if they're just going to birth something into the world that's just going to rule over them and make their lives miserable? What is the impetus for furthering the human race?
Not running into the fucking forest as far away from these horrible demons as you can?
Yeah, really.
And just taking a fucking sharp stick and saying, if any of you come near me,
fuck you.
Tell me to wear any kind of face paint or a silly clown outfit, it's going straight into your fucking eye. Like,
well, and like you said, it would be so easy for the adults to rise up and be like, get fucked, kids. Like,
join me with the raised hands.
I would
the raised hand.
Yeah, okay, I really want to see a sequel to this book that is about the parent revolution and the order of the raised hand.
Yeah.
ORH for life. And I just really think that Rozanski needs to think about the fact that he has created a horrifying dystopia. And I know that was not what he meant. I think he even wrote that, like, this wasn't meant to be a dystopia. It's not a dystopia. But bro, when you have children torturing adults, it's a dystopian fucking fiction world that gives me nothing but nightmares and makes me fear for any child who would read this.
Exactly. So now let's talk about the story, because there's
a story. I mean, it's kind of dumb.
The story is that Sally is picked because party duty is a thing. It's like jury duty, except you have to invite the whole town over to your fucking sty of a house.
Yeah, so there's a party every day, or a Monday through Friday or something.
Every day, it seems.
I think it's every day. Someone has, so yeah, you're right. It's like jury duty. So every day someone gets summoned to jury duty. Every day someone gets summoned to do party duty. Where you have to invite everyone over.
I don't know if the whole town's supposed to show up, because then you have to go to party fucking every night. That doesn't happen every night in the book. So maybe you pick and choose where you're supposed to go.
Well, and also, like, who knows how wide ranging this is? Because, like, jury duty is like state or county or the district.
Do children have fucking county maps that they drew up?
They must. I mean, they must have.
They have nations. There's Americandy and the United Kidsdom, which is kind of cute. All right, fine. But
I think the other thing I dislike is that, okay, he's trying to, like, sort of raise children up, right? By making them leaders, making them in control of the universe, giving them priority over adults. And yet everything is still
a horrifying thought that we'll get to.
Okay. And yet I feel like everything is still kind of, like, infantile, right? Like, they go to there's, like, stuffed animal tickets at the movies. Like, why would you even make other kids pay for stuffed animals? Imaginary friend tickets. Like, you're just making your life harder. But also just the whole, like, everything is about candy and sparkles, and give kids a little more credit. Like, and this connects to what I was saying earlier, is, like, I don't even know that actual kids would act this way if given if given the opportunity to run a society. Like, have you seen kids in small groups playing? They don't just, like, spread mud everywhere and throw glitter at things. Like, they give each other jobs, and things are, like, pretty orderly, and not most kids don't want to eat chocolate for every meal. That's just not how children are. Like, I mean, I don't have any kids, and I don't.
Some kids get fixated on certain kinds of foods and everything, but it's not like, I mean, eventually they would, through experience, realize it's not so fun eating the same thing all the time.
I mean, and that's what every kid goes through. Like, as their palates develop, and they,
maybe that's they transition to adulthood. They lose their imagination or whatever. But, like, again, like, the ages at which things are being given out, like, you get jobs around up something like 5 or 6 or something.
No,
like,
it has to be around 4. Like, you get your license at 4, right?
So maybe even earlier than that. Like,
it must be like 4 or 5 when you really start.
Children aren't waking up on time.
Yeah.
They barely have a concept of days.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time you're 4, you have a concept of night and day for sure.
Like I'm saying, I just really.
Time.
Yeah, but like you're saying, like, linear causality is kind of necessary for anything, right? I mean, of course, you could go into the realm of, like, Lovecraftian horror where it isn't, but, like, I don't think that's what he's trying to do here. I know he's just trying to write a book that lets kids be kids in a kid world, and, like, it seems like, with his kind of heavy interest in cartoons and his commitment to this story, I feel like he really wants to hold on to childhood. Sorry if I'm reading too much into this, but I really think Rozanski has, like, maybe he himself had, like, felt like he didn't really get a childhood, or had a difficult childhood, and I have no idea if this is true. I could just be, I'm using the context to make him.
You and I have had rough childhood.
Oh yeah, I had a terrible childhood.
So, like, we can kind of read it, which is why I picked up on that. Like, the husband being much like the second child in like an abusive parent-child relationship.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of why I'm also really bothered by this, because I too had a really kind of tough childhood and didn't have a great relationship with my parents. So, I understand that feeling of, like feeling like your childhood kind of sucked, or like I don't know. Maybe I don't, because
feeling kind of helpless. You don't really know how to fix things. You're maybe supposed to do something to help someone, but you don't think you're either big enough or strong enough or like smart enough to get away with it, or like
so this is
actually help.
So this is his way of, like, I guess, trying to tell kids that they are valued and have power. And I don't think that's a bad message, but I think the way that this is written is not good. I think it gives a very negative, and I think it sends a negative message. I think it teaches kids to be abusive. That's
especially
not good.
since there's abusive kids in this book, much like the mayor.
And the main character, who's a fucking shithead. Fuck you, Sally Dunn.
Sally goes to the mayor's office to try to get out of party duty, and Mayor Tallulah steals her stuffed animal Carmichael.
Charmichael?
It's Charmichael or Carmichael. Probably Charmichael, I guess.
It looks like Charmander, because he's a lizard.
There's also a Magiderp Gaiamon or whatever.
Yeah, he seems to have inserted slight variations on Pokemon names throughout this. So
I'm assuming it's like Tallulah the mayor steals the Charmichael thing because Sally tried to get out of party duty, and Tallulah was like, "How dare you even try to come in my office without an appointment and do this? You have to throw the best party or something." And Sally's crying about it because Charmichael was taken from her. And then
Tallulah also writes on her forehead in some kind of special purple gel pen that like doesn't wipe off. It says "Silly Sally" on her forehead. So Tallulah, I mean, this is also like a scene out of a horror movie, because when she enters Tallulah's office, there's like a clap of thunder. I think when she stands up, there's another clap of thunder, even though it wasn't raining outside. Or at least I don't remember that.
I'll let that one slide
cartoon.
For cartoon logic.
So, Tallulah is the evil presence, and so she gets thunder claps, and so Tallulah is like they get into like an altercation. Like, she's like got her in like a headlock, and she's scrawling "Silly Sally" into her forehead with a gel pen, which can't feel good. And like that's a fucked up scene.
It's a harrowing experience.
Yeah, and again, like,
Sally doesn't like it either.
Right. And we're not saying that children shouldn't be exposed to difficult topics or situations. It's just that there's a way to do it where it's like
a little less
anxiety inducing, and also like they're gonna learn something from it. Like, because that's we'll get to that, but that's like
it could have been a stamp that she just stamped on her head.
Or she could have just called her that, or like got on the megaphone and been like, "Silly Sally Dunn," or whatever, instead of like violently scrawling a word into her forehead.
Her down.
Like holding her down. And it was kind of messed up. And so Sally leaves, and she's like totally defeated, and she's got this, these words on her forehead, and like weirdly Linda comes to her rescue with like rubbing alcohol, and
much like as if experience gives you an ability to determine how to fix problems.
Yeah,
Paris.
It's almost like that. It's almost
like adults are more reliable and have more experience to be able to solve situations that you get yourself into.
Right, interesting. I know. And so she's like, "Well, I got shamed by the mayor. Like, gotta fix this." So she like,
the mayor goes on TV and even says like, "Oh, it's at Sally's house. On Friday. You all better be there because she definitely has to have the best party now."
Yeah. Or
she wants to see Charmichael again.
No, she doesn't like. It's not like she's a villain. She doesn't like get on and threaten Charmichael, but she says like, "Oh, Sally said she didn't want to do party duty, and she's not even gonna have the party." And everyone's like, "Oh, scandalous!" Oh no. And so Sally's like, "Shit, I really gotta I gotta have like the best party ever." So she like hires her friend. I fucking forget her name. Amanda, Amber, whatever. She hires her friend who's a photographer, I believe. And her photographer friend's sister is a fashion designer, so they kind of get together and like help design some nice outfits.
By the way, this duo here is a member of like a 12-child family, so the house has like 3 stories, all full of kids' rooms, and the parents, like, I don't know where they are. They were I forget. They never appeared somewhere. Anywhere. But will you two please stop fucking and making more of these demons?
Yeah, please stop. Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea. I don't know if you like. Why would you even have one? And then if you had one, why would you keep going? I don't know. Maybe just hoping you'll pop out one that isn't full of evil.
Unless the child demanded you keep making more children,
Jesus
right? Because
Christ.
then that was horrifying thought number one. I mentioned horrifying thought time to do with that. A quick sidebar here that we'll get back to the story here. I know you said there was no violence or anything, but perhaps there are, some self-defense. If there's boundaries between nations, you have to enforce the boundaries.
You have to have war.
There are children in charge of nukes in this world.
Right? Right, and it's like, and that's what I was saying. I was saying, okay, fine. He, magic wanded away the sugar is healthy thing, so you don't have... Because I was like, no one would survive to adulthood if they're eating like this all the time. Constantly full of, like, sugar, like, chocolate-coated popcorn and, like, Skittles and shit. So, okay, he magic wanded that away. But yeah, he didn't magic wand away...
Which isn't a lovely message to send to children anyway.
Right. That you can just... You just decide that something is a certain way, and there it is. Like, we don't want... I mean, Trump's already in the presidency. Like, that's... Unfortunately, children are already learning that is a thing. You just say something is, and... other things become thought crimes. But anyway, growing around an offshoot of 1984.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, it's like, he hasn't said anything about having a standing army or nuclear warfare or warfare of any kind, really. Maybe he has also magic wanded away warfare. The idea. I don't know.
If you have rules and boundaries, someone's breaking them, especially children, where the whole idea of the children being in charge is that they break rules and boundaries.
Okay, but like, how do kids handle like really horrible crimes like torture, rape, pedophilia? How do they deal with that? First of all, who the fuck? Oh God! Oh my God! Pedophilia must be such a problem in this world.
Oh no!
Because it's probably one of the few ways adults can get. Oh my God!
Okay, I need to close this sewer immediately. Cover this manhole immediately, Paris. Okay, let's just assume that's also magic wanded away.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, we're magic wanding that away.
Okay, good Lord. Back to party duty, in which Sally goes with her friend April and her sister to like
April. Thank you.
April. To like fancy her up to make her public image look better. She does like a TV interview that she ducks out of really quick because she fucks up the answers because once again, it's not like she's experienced giving an interview or something, right?
Right. Yeah, because I
why
guess...
would it matter to the kids? Because they like barely understand.
Yeah, I guess it's like tradition that the local news interviews whoever has been chosen for party duty. So like every day you get a short interview with the person who's going to be doing party duty later that week or something. Yeah, and she like fucks up the answers or whatever. So she's like really upset about it. We talked more about the subplot of Sally and Linda's strained relationship more than the actual plot, which is this party thing. And then
because there's nothing there to the party thing.
Yeah, I know. And then like Linda, like at first Linda agrees to be a magician at the party because I guess when Linda was a kid, she was a really great magician and musician or something. And Sally's like, oh my God, you were a magician. And then Linda does a couple of tricks and really impresses Sally. And she's like, oh, you have to do it. And Linda's like, well, I don't really feel comfortable, but yeah, I guess I'll do it. Help you out, whatever. But then Linda's like, nah, I'm not going to do it because I forget why. It's like after Sally probably inflicts her with some horrific punishment. I think she tells her she has to wear like some stupid costume all week. And Linda's like, fuck you then. I'm not going to be a magician at your party. Get fucked. And Sally's like...
And I'll make you wear it for the rest of the school year. And she's like, all right.
She's like, I don't care.
Yeah, at that point, why would you? It sounds like someone resigned to just the abuse at a certain point where you're like, I've been screamed at enough.
Yep.
At this point, what does it matter? You're going to do some weird shit anyway and be mad at me. I don't even fucking care anymore.
Yep.
And I've been there too. It's not a fun place to be.
Yep, same. And so Linda just resigns herself to, yeah, fine, you're going to just keep punishing me. What? I have no reason. There's no reward for me to do what you say. And Sally like can't figure it out. She's like, I don't get it. What do I do? Oh no, my party's going to be a disaster because I don't have this this great magician that I promised everyone I was going to have. And then that actually doesn't even get concluded. We do get some scenes at the party, but it's really just Sally and Tallulah.
5 pages or so at the party.
Yeah. Like Tallulah, the mayor, comes and she and Sally get into a chocolate fight. And like that's how the book ends.
It's a dare off. It's a dare off.
Right.
And they do one dare where they're supposed to be covered in chocolate. And Tallulah doesn't like this because it's undignified to be covered in chocolate. But once again, the children value chaos in general and having a fun time. So why would the stuffy kid that's the mayor...
But remember, one of the rules is that the kid's that maturity is valued. I don't know. He seems to want to have these two diametrically opposed things true at the same time, and it just doesn't work.
Tallulah is covered in chocolate. The children are laughing at her.
Yep.
Sally vows to run against her in the next election. The end.
Yeah, and at the end it said the end, and I wanted to cross it out and say "fuck you" because that's what really should have been printed there.
It's like there's no clue. Like Tallulah gets made fun of, just laughed at by all the other children, and that's enough. She gets her petty comeuppance, and that's the resolution for the book because Sally got to say, "Ha ha, look at you."
Yeah. So, but like the Linda and Sally's relationship kind of never really gets resolved. Linda being a magician at the party never really gets resolved. The end of the party is never shown, so you don't really know what happens there.
Sally like calls her mom like the bestest mom at one point at like the very end because I guess Linda decided to be nice for one fucking second. But it's not like she's going to extend that kindness back later on. You can be sure about that if she's just like, if the end of the book is like, and then Sally's going to get her petty revenge and unseat Mayor Tallulah.
Yeah.
And then just torture every parent.
So I assume it ends kind of on I wouldn't even call it a cliffhanger. I mean, I guess you could, but it doesn't, there's not a satisfying ending, and clearly, like, we kind of end in the middle of things, so you expect a sequel. As of yet, no sequel has been published. I actually didn't check to see what year this was published, but it was sometime in the last 3 years, 2 years, I think it was 2 years ago? Yeah, I think. I'm not positive. Yeah, I think it was published sometime between 2015 and 2016. But I could be wrong. So he must be.
There's zero publishing info.
Oh, great. So he must be planning on writing. He must plan on writing more of these. When I checked out his DeviantArt a little bit, there seemed to be a lot of scripts written for the cartoon TV show that he plans to launch. In this world with these characters. So I don't know. I mean, he raised like, $10,000 of his funding goal for the episode, so maybe he'll put that towards books instead of a TV show. I don't really know.
2016.
Okay, I was right. Okay, so it's been 2 years since it was published, depending on what time of the year he published it. But in 2 years he hasn't published a sequel.
He has $10,641 on his Indiegogo page for this.
Okay. So,
which was 3% of his $350,000 fixed goal.
Okay, I can't believe I was right about those stats. Wow, I'm surprised that I retained that. So I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and like crush a dude's dreams and tell him to like never do anything again. But
think through the way you're presenting things especially to like. Okay, like again, as someone that grew up in a sort of an abusive situation, actually an abusive situation, I should say.
Yep.
The mirrors that are being held up that I saw over here with the things happening with Linda and Robbie were harrowing and anxiety-inducing in me.
Yeah, me too.
Triggering to me.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it also made me feel anxious and concerned and kind of gross. It's
not a pleasant attitude that's presented. It's not a pleasant place to live for these adults. They're not getting into silly hijinks and then haha, laughing it off. Linda is emotionally affected deeply by this stuff.
Right. And again, we're not saying that tough topics aren't for children, but
the point of this book is not to deal with like abusive situations and Sally learning that she treated her mom like shit.
And I wish it was, because I wish Sally would have learned that she was treating her mom like shit. If that was the big come around
at the end, that Sally was like, I'm this horrible person that
I need to be better. Yeah, that would have been fine, but that doesn't happen,
Maybe the adults have something of value and I don't know.
I mean, and I don't know. Like, you have a child who is literally sitting there relishing the idea of making her mom eat roller skates.
Yes,
like physically consume a pair of dirty old roller skates. Like, she's sitting there like gleefully thinking of how great it's going to be if she makes her do it.
1000% an abusive thing to do. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Just no, it's not funny. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I think that I sort of get what he's trying to do, like what Rozanski's trying to do here, but and again, I don't know, but if he does not live in a world, in the real world where he's interacting with children a lot, I honestly think that if he wants to write a book for kids, he needs to spend more time with kids. Like, you need to learn how kids really act. And I mean, of course, you can remember
extreme variation in development between even similar ages and everything.
Yeah.
Like, between 1 to 5, there's a general path that should be taken, and 5 to 10, there's a general path that should be taken. But the speeds at which kids grasp some concepts is vastly different.
Yeah. I mean, and I understand that he's saying, like, this is a cartoon. It doesn't have to, he's saying it doesn't have to make sense, but, like, I think most people and most children still need, like you said, some kind of linear causality, some kind of a basic work, a basically functional world. It can be fantastical, but it still needs to make some sense, at some level. It can't just be totally off the wall nonsense all the time. Some shows are able to do that and succeed, but there's just something about the mix of things in this book that doesn't work.
If your title is growing around as if the process of changing is kind of a central idea to the show, and perhaps gaining maturity or something like that, and that has nothing to do with what you're writing about, it's just Chaos Land for children with no... It's like less substantial than a fucking Teletubby scene or something.
Right, yeah.
Where at least you're learning something.
Yeah, I just, and again, I'm thinking about this as if a child was reading this, they wouldn't have the same problems they wouldn't have some of the same problems we have. But I do think this would teach children that being mean to others fixes them and gets them what they want.
Yeah, for sure.
And that is definitely not something you want to teach children.
Absolutely not.
Being cruel to others, probably not a great thing to teach kids. But yeah, I think Rozanski just needs to spend more time with children. Or maybe not, I don't know. But if you really want to understand them, you need to observe a daycare, work with kids for a little
while.
bit.
I've been teaching kids for years now, and I'm still just kind of understanding different developmental stages and how some kids are gonna focus on different things and you have to guide them in a certain way.
And I think that you can sit here and say oh, but my childhood is like this, and sure, you can have memories, but your recall on that stuff, it may not be at all what it was like in reality. I think it makes more sense to observe kids.
Yeah,
as
I'm gonna be honest with you. Before 7 or 8. You're not going to get a lot of logical reasoning discussion happen with a little bit, and you can illustrate points and they'll understand things. But around 7 or 8 is where you start seeing them really grasping deeper concepts emotions and how, more abstract ideas essentially. And you can kind of talk with them on deeper levels about them. I don't know how to explain this other than beyond the 3rd or 2nd-ish grade is where I can start talking to kids more reasonably as an adult talking to someone, and before that I have to be a lot softer and more let's try this, yeah, you did it, let's do it, I'm still encouraging to 8-year-olds and up and everything like that, but there's a different tone I take when I'm dealing with someone under that. It's not a hard fast age thing. I've known 8-year-olds that were slower on the uptake and some 8-year-olds that were more mature than 14-year-olds that I taught or whatever.
Yeah, it depends. I'm just checking to see what age range this is recommended for, because I honestly don't remember.
I didn't see anything about a recommended age on the Amazon page when I was browsing through it, and I wouldn't recommend it for any age anyway.
No, it doesn't say. Unfortunately, I just don't know that. Perhaps if this is a child's book, I have problems with him using words that children wouldn't use in child's dialogue, and also in a book for children. Of course, you want children to learn new words, but if you're having children constantly use the word blouse and constantly one of the characters, April or Amanda or whatever, April, I think, she always talks as though she's
Frenchish.
Yeah,
French and upper society, and like I think kids should learn new words through context, but like,
and kids will definitely mimic things and like want to like try on an identity like that.
I don't know, this book is just like sort of off kilter in a lot of different ways. It's just like a Jenga tower falling down,
look,
like at all times.
If you want it to be Chaos World, I think you have to temper some things to where it's not just so vindictive all the time.
Yeah,
like you can have like SpongeBob SquarePants as a show is kind of Chaos World-ish. SpongeBob still has a job, and Squidward is an adult and stuff like that.
I've actually never seen SpongeBob.
It like, you know, there's a functioning society and Bikini Bottom and everything. It's not just like kids, but like silly shit happens all the time. Off the wall shit happens all the time. It's not completely absurd. And at a certain point, like maybe if there just weren't any adults, or if this was just like a one kid land instead of kid world.
Yeah. I think like I said, this would be a lot better if they were,
you know, the
totally
kids are isolated in their own nation for a while, and then when you're adulthood, you go off to live in the adult world.
Yeah. That would be a lot better. So
kids still get to rule and make their own rules and everything.
But they're not enslaving adults, which is the part that's like a real problem.
For like vindictive and petty ends. And
yeah. And, God, there's some other disturbing questions I have too. Like,
I think a cat just fell down the stairs outside.
That was...
There's a strange noise outside the door.
It sounded like a cat falling down some stairs, which is very possible. There's a cat in this house that's pretty fat and unwieldy, so she may have lost control and be unable to walk under her own power.
Sorry for that awkward
sorry. But I just have so many questions about the adult world. Like, are there crazy underground adult sex dungeons? Like, because like living in a world of kids must make you want to do like the most adult off the wall shit. Like, there must be. So if there must be alcohol in bars, like, are kids running the bars then because only kids are allowed to have jobs? Fuck, this creates the scariest possible future. Like, I don't know if Fritz Lieber's Greater Texas was worse or if this was worse. If you haven't listened to episode 45, listen to that first. Like, I don't know. Because like adults are still gonna have like sexual fetishes and like a desire to have
not
drugs and alcohol
for the 100th time.
Well, she mentions that the main character mentions that there's like a new like all vegetable restaurant that opened or something. So some people are eating vegetables, but like, what about, like I said, like how do kids handle like rape and shit like that? I mean, that must happen. Because
a kid wouldn't know proper boundaries, not having the experience.
Right. All right, I'm not gonna ruin it, but like, if you haven't ever seen, is it Yachten? The Hunter or the Hunt?
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a movie. It's a Danish movie. I can't remember if it's Yachten, which is the hunter, or if it must be the hunted. Yachten. Sorry. It's a Danish movie, and it's about what happens when a child accuses an adult of sexual assault. And it's like the beginning of that movie when you kind of see how that situation happens is something I would be really concerned about in this world. And I know that this author is like trying to go for like, ha hee hee, happy child world, haha. But it's not.
But if you're showing your kids doing shitty things to other people, conceivably other children won't have as much restraint as Sally does and be far more creative.
Dude, she doesn't even have like, she's terrible. But yeah, I wonder about the levels of violence and death in this world. You know, like how do they handle dying, death, funerals, mourning, all the more serious things in life. I mean, like you said, you know, it's easy to say, oh, the kids are the ones who all have jobs, but it's more difficult to define how that really works. You know, like you said, it's really difficult to tell a story that flies in the face of physics and linear causality and the
fact that maturity comes from
flow of time. Yeah.
The reason, this is the reason why whenever, this is kind of a creepy aside, but when people say, age is just a number, like to justify dating younger people at a certain point, like, no, they have just not physically and emotionally experienced the same shit the scars you get, but the older you get, the shit you have to go through that alters your being and changes how you approach things and makes you more wary and everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's why, I mean, I honestly even think that there can be some major issues when you have a large age gap, even in adulthood.
Sure.
Because experience is so different. But yeah, of course, if you're well underage and you're trying to date someone who's an adult.
Even the difference between like 21 and 30.
Oh, yeah.
There's just in that 9 years, there's a world of shit you have to dig through. No matter who you are,
oh God, I'll tell you,
like standing up on your own 2 feet, fine. Like some people by the time they're 21, they have been standing on their own 2 feet.
That's true,
just fine. And
but just being comfortable, like who you are, and not like putting a persona out there.
I have to put mileage on yourself to like really understand how you react to certain situations and really understand yourself better, because you have to just experience this shit. There's plenty of situations I've thought about, like how would I react in this situation? Like how would I? Like my number one thing is like I am 99.9% sure if like I have a girlfriend right now, if someone approached me and tried to flirt with me, I'm pretty sure I would be fine. I would not cross that line. I'm pretty sure about it, but I have not been in that situation yet.
You know why?
I don't know, actually, because I'm ugly. But like,
no, because Rebecca is awesome.
She is. She's 100%. I love her to death.
Chris's girlfriend's awesome.
Yeah, she's great.
Sorry. End conversation about that.
True. But my point being is I truly do not know how I would react to that situation in the moment until it happens to me. And I have never had anything close to that happen. I mean, even when I was outside of a relationship, like someone directly flirting with me, like without me first initiating or something like that.
I can tell you that it might sound really great. Like
it doesn't really sound. It sounds anxiety-inducing to me right now.
It's fucking anxiety-inducing and weird because it's almost always unwelcome.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, how do I get out of this without getting stabbed or murdered or raped?
And my point is not being like, oh, I wonder if I cheat on my girlfriend. The point I'm trying to make here is that there's just these situations.
Yeah,
that
you don't know until it happens.
You can't even conceive of them sometimes until you get old enough to like see some other shit. No 8-year-old is like fully comprehending the emotional weight of some actions you can take and consequences that they have.
Yeah, I know. And that just applies to so many things. I mean, it's
knowing how to do a job well.
Yeah, and that's the thing that really, I mean,
even beyond learning the basic functions of the job, learning how to be on time to things.
Right. I mean,
manage your diet and time and schedule.
I mean, and that's it's not saying that like sometimes when you get fresh eyes on a task or a job or an activity, you get value out of that, certainly. Like sometimes the untrained eye is going to produce really valuable feedback or
different angle, a solution you never would have thought of.
Totally. But like little children working construction, no, they're going to die. They're going to die and the building's going to fall apart or never be built. Like and all the people inside of it are going to die if it does get built. Like, I don't know. You
can't learn how to like fucking pour concrete and like rebar and like learn how to structure shit if you're poo-pooing someone having a math book. Earlier in the fucking thing. How are you going to do the measurements so everything stands up? How are you going to understand that, like, you have to understand that, like, gravity is a thing, first of all, which, like, takes kids even beyond the first grade to even kind of grasp that. So,
yeah, I don't
There's
know.
so many fundamental little things you have to get out of the way before you can even start talking about putting Lego bricks together. That's why Lego bricks are, like, 5 and under, because they're swallowing that shit. But
Chris,
I'm so mad about it.
I am also
I've
really
turned
mad.
To George Costanza, just like, we live in a society.
I'm really mad, but also my bladder is going to explode and I really need to pee. Okay. So you can entertain the people for 2 minutes.
No, you can go
I
for
really
a second.
need to pee.
Go ahead. I will. How about I take care of our sign-off usual stuff for the next 2 minutes or so.
Cut this together. Sorry, I'm going to...
Well, hello, Terrible Book Club listeners. It's me, Chris, by himself for the next 2 minutes while Paris deals with her bladder situation. I'm sorry, I got really upset this episode a lot. I hope I didn't clip the mic that bad or anything, but I guess I can get serious for a second now that we're by ourselves, but these scenes with Sally being vindictive and petty towards her mom, you can laugh them off, especially in sort of this cartoon show logic. Maybe, I don't know if Mr. Rozanski listens to every, thing that every area where his work is reviewed, so he might have a Google alert. I don't know if you're listening to this dude, but like, be conscious of the fact that even if you don't want adults to be reading this, you want kids to be judging this, there's going to be kids that have been in that situation reading this, and they might sympathize with Linda more because, once again, she's being humiliated actively by her daughter frequently and with relish from Sally at that point too. So that's what really tips the scale on a lot of this to me. Like, I could maybe buy silly Chaos World Fantasyland more if there just wasn't so much of that kind of stuff happening. And Paris has returned to us once again.
Thank God.
I had a serious moment with everyone.
Oh, sorry. I
almost pissed on this couch. I'm sorry, guys.
I accidentally also stopped recording for a second. So it's gonna be a weird edit.
No.
I just hit the space bar a little bit. So if there was a snip there, that's what that was. But
Sorry, I really had to pee, but I still have more things to say, so I didn't want to stop the episode.
I got very serious, and I kind of outlined the fact that like there might be some kids in abusive situations reading this material too, and they're probably going to see Linda in that situation and like maybe get triggered by her fucking situation more than anything else.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, it's tough because I don't want to sit here and tell this dude who's clearly really passionate about like making this cartoon and making this book. Like,
I directly addressed him, in fact, in case he has a Google alert set up for anything that reviews his.
Oh, he probably does. I mean, hopefully he understands that we're critiquing this book and we're giving him information that will help him improve. But who knows? I don't know anything about this man. I don't know what he's like. So anyway, I'm not sitting here trying to crush this dude's dreams. Like, I think Rozanski should pursue this stuff, but he needs to take criticism, as it's given to him.
The elevator pitch. Kids are in charge of the world.
Right.
Not a bad idea at all.
No.
100% fine and cool. I'm interested in a better executed version of that doesn't have so many embarrassing, humiliating situations of emotional turmoil.
Right, yeah. Like, and I'm also interested in that, like you said, in that situation where children are learning valuable lessons, and developing as people and maturing.
Once again, if your show it's called Growing Around, there needs to be some development in the character.
Yeah. You made a really valid point. Like, it would be so much better if there was like Americandy or the United Kidsdom was like a land for only children, and like you would exit that when you got old enough and go into the regular world. Fine. Like, that would be
maybe
more...
every country has their own kid version of the country.
Yeah. And that's a really good point. Yeah, there's like a...
And they're like, that's kind of like, let the kids do their own thing to learn consequences that much more. And like,
whenever they want,
feel
they can
like
leave.
The adults had like too much control over them. Maybe that's to prevent even abuse from other adults or something,
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Because I was saying like that would be, but I guess maybe Rozanski would have a problem with that because ultimately adults would still be sort of an invisible hand right there.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only way you could really make this work in a setting that makes more sense. I guess
even isolated kingdom of children that has not had contact with the outside world for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Better than what's happening here.
Yeah, I mean, there are, or my suggestion of like making them an organism that is not human, like setting this on a different planet, making them, I don't know, Gazorpazorps or something,
sure.
Whatever. It would, I mean, that's still, actually, that might make, honestly, maybe if he put them on a planet, where time worked differently, right? Because time and weight and it's
Jeremy
the same.
Bearimy instead of a regular timeline.
Yeah. So
Good Place reference if you haven't seen that show, but
but yeah, I mean, maybe that would help in some way, kind of make this a little more palatable. But largely, the issues are that the main character is a shitheel, and she's a horribly abusive, manipulative tyrant. And that's not really a great example for children.
That's the central problem I have with this whole thing.
Stop enslaving adults and treating them like garbage. That's terrible.
If you're going to be talking about like them not doing good in school, like don't make it so like harrowing of an experience and a punishment to go through. Make it silly and fun. Like, oh no, the adults have to sit on a pie for a minute.
And like nothing of emotional consequence. I mean, these poor parents seem like they don't have time to do any adult activities. That's what I'm saying. Like, there must be some underground fucking sex dungeon for the adults because they must be so
Sally
anxious.
walks in on them kissing one time and she's like, cut that out. And like...
Yeah, like, fuck you, kid. Like, this is what made you. Like, get fucked. Like, you want it, like, sorry, but that's how it works. I mean, it's just...
You can't even express love to your partner in this hell world. you two against, like...
Yeah, I know that the author didn't intend this to be a dystopian hellscape, but it 100% is in its
no
current
other way around it. Like,
you know, and
your conceit is just too broken from the start.
Yeah, and I didn't
not make it that way.
And I didn't really, and I think that seriously, if the author is listening to this, it's not an attack. This is just criticism to help you become better. You need to hear what we're saying. You need to hear what other people have said about your work. And you can't just sit here and lazily say, oh, it's Cartoon World, whatever. Like, come on, dude. I mean, you clearly have this well of creativity in you. Use it for good. Don't be a shitty adult lacking creativity like the adults you hate so much in your world. Don't do it.
That's all I have to say too, man.
Yeah.
Just make it actually silly.
Yeah, like, and I understand that, you know, you want to have kids tackling real problems, but there's a way to do it that doesn't kind of put abuse on a pedestal. Yeah. You know, like, I don't know. We've all had shitty childhoods, but there's no reason to keep that fucking ball rolling. Like, we need to stop that shit. Like, those of us who have had shitty childhoods, we're not going to perpetuate that. And certainly don't do it with media that you're giving to children.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, and yeah.
So, yeah, Paris, that was the... straight up to me, I'm sorry to say, infuriating growing around Party Panic.
Yeah, I gotta say,
Party Panic attack.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, that's why it's called Party Panic, a panic attack inducing. I gotta say thank you to Letty for telling us about this.
Yeah, this was quite a one. This was quite a one.
This is exactly what we were looking for, another children's book. Although it was, I thought we were just gonna end up with something silly, but somehow we've ended up reading 2 children's books that are actually harmful to children. So. Jesus. Yeah, Melanie's Marvelous Measles, arguably the more harmful of the 2. But growing around Party Panic, also not great. Don't let your kids read this. Yeah, I would love to see what would happen if you, like, gave this to a focus group of children to see if they would even read it, if they would be into it at all. Because, like I said, I just feel like it's not even how kids would really act.
I mean, the other thing is that even if they don't act like it a lot of the time, kids do crave structure and it helps them develop. Yeah. They like it, and
I mean, and there is structure in the world he created, but it's nonsensical, you know. It's like there's structure and chaos simultaneously, and that doesn't
straight up just the issue of kids crying when they don't know what to do in a certain situation because they haven't experienced it before.
Right.
So having an adult who has experienced it before is valuable.
And I mean, I don't know, and like, I'm sorry to keep, like, I don't mean to make this a circular episode, but like, why would the adults grow up and still live at home with their like, I mean, if the children are independent enough to run things,
at what
like,
point it's
like, fuck you, I'm gonna go get
Sally's
an apartment.
Like, it's my house, and like Linda's like, Timmy's name is on the deed.
Yeah,
and it's like, so there's a mortgage payment, like,
yeah,
Pokemon
like
cards or something. I gotta go to work and get more Charizards, or this fucking house is gonna get foreclosed on.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't like, why. Like, I would be like, okay, well, if you're self-sufficient, independent,
Who gave
like,
him the deed for what? Like, do you just get a house? Did Linda and Robbie have their own house that they lived in until they were 2 adults, or do you get a new one after you make a kid and then it gets given to the? See
fuck,
what I mean?
I don't know. Fuck, I don't know. It's so confusing.
All right, I can't dwell on this anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty infuriating.
Yeah. All right, Paris. Well, let's thank our.
Oh yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for listening to this episode.
Reach out to us on social media. We love it when we hear your comments, and you send reviews on the iTunes if you can. Share the episodes if you please, so that you can have other people join in the fun of listening to terrible books.
So lastly, thank you, Letty, for recommending this episode. It was recommending this book rather. Thank you to our patrons, Dari, Greg, Veronica, Will, Dee, and Jared. All of you help fund this show, so you make it possible for us to pay for hosting, to pay for books, and we really appreciate that because, as I've said before, we're not making anything off of this, so it just helps us have a hobby that we don't have to like
grease the wheels
scrounge money for,
so that we feel good putting these out for you. That we're not just screaming into the void about.
Yeah, at least we're screaming to a void of 6. That's good. Sure. And if
join us in this dark black hole.
Yeah, this dystopian nightmare. If you're listening to this and you are not one of those wonderful 6 patrons and you'd like to join their ranks, you can do that by going to our Patreon. If you just go to patreon.com/join/terrible book club, you can peruse our wares and decide how much money you'd like to throw at us each month. Even $1 a month helps. It's really cool. You know, we don't even get the full $1 because of like fees and shit, but a few cents helpful. If you'd like to say hi to us, like Chris mentioned, on social media, we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We have a Goodreads account as well if you're on there. We also like to receive emails, so you can email us at terriblebookclub@gmail.com. Yeah, that's true. That's how we got this recommendation, so that is a way to reach us. But if you can spare the show a review on iTunes or just share it on your social media site of choice or tell your friends about it, much appreciated. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the real world where I'm an adult and I'm not a slave to my child masters. Yeah.
I much prefer it that way. I'm gonna eat a normal dinner.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat some
not
pizza.
Chocolate sauce.
Actually, I actually do really want sweets right now because we ate pizza.
I can maybe hook you up. We'll see what we get.
Okay, all right, cool.
All right. Well, with that, bye, Paris.
All right, bye, Chris.